You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. We have spent a good amount of time so far in this college offseason looking at the schedule, assessing win totals, all that sort of stuff. And generally, the consensus when we look at LSU schedule, Muse, Paulie, when we just so I don't say it, just to make sure I'm not off base. When we look at the most impactful games on LSU schedule this year, there's generally two I think that everybody talks about.
Alabama's normally Bama,
and what's the other one everybody's talking about this year?
USC. I'm sorry, you mean conference? Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. So Ole Miss preseason top 10. They're all in for the playoff. That's an early October game. It's like. Everybody knows Bama, Ole Miss. Those feel like the swing games for the season. Well, I was fascinated. ESPN updated their FPI, which is their football percentage index. And again, FPI is a metric. Now, we all use it and sort of roundly accept it as college football fans because it's got some credibility behind it. Now, I don't think any of us knows the algorithm. But we know they take a bunch of numbers, put it all together, and boom, it spits out this number, and it tells us things like your probability of winning your conference, how many wins you'll have, your probability of going to the playoff, winning the playoff, all that sort of stuff. Well, ESPN updated their FPI numbers, and LSU, by the way, is when they look at the top teams by national championship odds. Okay, this is odds to win the national championship. LSU is 14th in the country. Georgia, Oregon, Texas, Ohio State, Bama, that's your top five. No big surprise. There's LSU at 14. The one on this list that absolutely floors me is who the computers have at number 8. The FPI computers say the team with the 8th best odds to win the national championship, the Oklahoma Sooners. Oh, but there's more. Again, LSU at 14, Ole Miss, they don't even have in the top 15. After Bama at 5, Penn State, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Florida State, Missouri, 11, Michigan, Clemson, LSU, Kansas. And I guess the thought with Kansas there is somebody's got to win that crappy Big 12 and get a spot in the playoffs. And Texas and Oklahoma aren't in that league anymore. So if Kansas wins it, they're right there in the playoff as the as the Big 12 champion. But it goes a little further and a little deeper. They looked at the top 20. All right, so this is like the FPI top 20 for this season. Georgia, Oregon, Texas, Ohio State, Bama, Penn State, Notre Dame, yada, yada, yada. Number 8 in the top 20, Oklahoma. So they have Oklahoma. FBI is Oklahoma is the 8th best team in the country and with the 8th best odds of winning the national championship. LSU, meanwhile, 14th best odds of winning the championship, number 13 in their rankings. By the way, FPI, not big fans of Ole Miss. They got LSU 13, A&M 14, Clemson 15, Ole Miss 16. So the humans love Ole Miss, don't like Oklahoma. The computers don't like Ole Miss, love Oklahoma. There's even more. Like, I don't want to get bogged down in this, but it's so interesting. They listed the games on the schedule that are the highest leverage with respect to college football playoff odds. And it's interesting, like LSU has one game, the Bama game. Bama has 6 games on this list, which tells you there is a huge swing factor for Alabama, right? 6 games with playoff implications. Like Georgia has 2. Like, because it's just accepted, Georgia's going to make the playoffs. Georgia's got to play Texas and Bama. That's what it is. It's like, okay, if they win those games, it's basically, are you in or do you get a bye, whatever. Bama has 6, meaning big swing possibilities for Bama. Do you go 4-2 in those? Do you go 2-4 in those? Right, I'm not saying Bama's going to go 8-4 this year, but clearly they're saying, man, there is some massive fluctuation possibility in these projected models for Bama. Oklahoma's got 4 on this list. 4. Bama, Texas, Tennessee, and Missouri. Y'all, is Oklahoma the game we're not talking about that we should be talking more about? I mean, odds makers have Oklahoma's over-under at 7.5. So Vegas thinks Oklahoma is either 8-4, 7-5, which feels right. I mean, I look at Oklahoma. Their quarterback, Oklahoma won 10 games last year in year 2 under Brent Venables. They had a nice bounce back, but in large part because of Dylan Gabriel at quarterback. But Gabriel entered the portal. He's at Oregon now. So former 5-star Jackson Arnold is their quarterback. He's the only returning quarterback, by the way, from last year. He's a true sophomore, had 69 pass attempts last year, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks, basically mop-up duty. That's their quarterback. True sophomore with no experience. Their OC, you remember who Oklahoma's OC was last year? Do you remember? Do you remember? Anybody? Muse, Paulie? Do you remember who Oklahoma's OC was last year?
Jeff Lebby?
It was Jeff Lebby.
Okay.
Where's Jeff Lebby now?
Ole Miss.
No.
Right? No? Oh.
He was at Ole Miss, went to Oklahoma. He's now the head coach at Mississippi State.
That's right.
Yes, that is right. My point is, he ain't at Oklahoma no more. Their new OC, they got co-OCs with Seth Luttrell and Joe John Finley. Don't laugh, LSU's got co-OCs too.
I'm not laughing at it. I'm laughing at Joe John. That's fantastic.
Why are you laughing at that man's name?
That's a great name. I love it.
And Oklahoma's defense last year in that 10-win team was 77th in the country. Can I give you some perspective on that? Would you mind? Would you like to hear this?
I would love to hear that.
You know where? Remember that Ole Miss team that LSU went and scored 48 on? Remember that?
Very well, yes.
You know where Ole Miss's defense was last year?
53rd.
68th.
Darn.
One spot behind Ole Miss in 69th was Florida. What did LSU do to Florida last year?
They put up a lot.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels had his Heisman moment against Florida.
Trophy, yeah.
300 passing, 200 rushing in the same game. First time we've ever seen that. Oklahoma was 8 spots behind that Florida defense last year. That defense, they lose their quarterback and their OC. I get why Vegas is going, we got you 7.5. Going into the SEC now, FPI, the computers, got Oklahoma 8th. The computers love Oklahoma. If you're looking for a team that maybe everybody is sleeping on, the computers are telling you it might be Boomer Sooner. And November 30th in Tiger Stadium might be a game with college football playoff implications if this is right. All of a sudden, I got a renewed interest or an increased interest in Oklahoma coming into the SEC in year 1. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.